$500 a month does not buy luxury. But in 5 safe countries, it can still cover rent, food, transport, phone, internet, and a simple life with breathing room. The catch is that you need to avoid capitals, resorts, and expat hotspots. Smaller cities, local markets, local apartments. The places most expat videos skip. These are 5 countries where the math still works in 2026. And the final one may be the easiest to test without committing your life. Starting near Europe, Georgia. There is a reason Georgia keeps appearing in conversations about cheap living abroad. It is not just hype. The fundamentals are unusually strong. European-style cities, mountain scenery, fast internet, incredible food, low daily costs, and for citizens of many countries, including Americans and Brits, the ability to stay visa-free for up to 1 year. That means Georgia is not just cheap. It is easy to test. But here's the part people get wrong. Tbilisi is no longer the ultra-cheap secret it was 5 years ago. Central rents have climbed, digital nomads arrived, popular neighborhoods adjusted. If you try to live in the trendiest part of the capital, $500 a month starts to feel tight fast. So the better move is to look beyond Tbilisi. Kutaisi, Tel Aviv, Zugdidi, smaller towns in the wine regions of Kakheti. These are the places where a simple 1-bedroom apartment can still rent for around $80 to $150 a month. Local meals can cost a few dollars. Market vegetables are cheap. Transport is minimal. Phone and internet costs are low. And that is the first big rule of this video. The cheapest life abroad is almost never in the place everyone on YouTube is already talking about. It is 1 layer deeper. In Georgia, that layer still offers real quality of life. Walkable towns, strong community, mountain air, old wine culture, and a pace of life that feels calm rather than chaotic. Safety is one of Georgia's strongest selling points. Violent crime is low, streets generally feel calm, and many foreigners are surprised by how comfortable daily life feels compared to the country's low cost. The caveat is language. Outside Tbilisi, English becomes much less common. Winters can be cold. Heating costs matter, and smaller towns will not give you the convenience of a major European city. But for someone willing to adapt, Georgia offers something rare. A low-cost life that does not feel like a downgrade. And the next country changes the equation completely, because it adds something Georgia cannot offer. The Mediterranean, Albania. Most people still have an outdated idea of Albania. They imagine a poor, isolated, unsafe country that somehow got left behind by Europe. That assumption is exactly why the opportunity still exists. Albania sits on the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. It has mountain towns, Ottoman old cities, beaches, lakes, fresh food, strong coffee culture, and some of the lowest living costs in Europe. But again, the mistake is going straight to the obvious places. Saranda and the Albanian Riviera are beautiful, but they are no longer hidden. Prices there have moved up because tourists and foreign buyers discovered them. The better value is in towns like Shkodër, Korça, Berat, Gjirokastër, and Elbasan. Shkodër gives you a lakeside city with cafes, cycling, and access to the mountains. Korça feels almost Central European, with tree-lined boulevards and a slower rhythm. Berat and Gjirokastër give you UNESCO architecture and extremely low daily costs. Elbasan is not glamorous, but it is practical, affordable, and more livable than most outsiders expect. In these towns, $500 can still cover a basic local lifestyle. Rent might sit around $120 to $180. Food from open-air markets can be extremely cheap. Transport costs very little. If you cook at home and avoid tourist pricing, the numbers can still work. The safety picture is also better than many people assume. Albania has a strong culture of hospitality, and foreigners are often treated with curiosity rather than suspicion. Violent crime targeting outsiders is rare, especially outside nightlife-heavy tourist zones. For Americans, Albania is especially interesting because US passport holders can stay for up to 1 year without a visa. That makes it one of the easiest European countries to test properly. The caveat is infrastructure. Roads are improving, but not everywhere. Healthcare in smaller towns is limited. Bureaucracy can be slow. And Albania is developing quickly, which means today's prices may not last forever. That is what makes it so interesting in 2026. Albania may not be the polished version of Southern Europe, but it may be one of the last places where a Mediterranean lifestyle is still financially possible on a tiny budget. Georgia gives you the long, visa-free trial. Albania gives you the Mediterranean. But the next country is different again. It is the quiet Plan B country almost nobody is talking about, Paraguay. Paraguay is not trendy. It does not have the glamour of Argentina, the beaches of Brazil, or the digital nomad reputation of Colombia. And that is exactly why it still works. Paraguay is the low overhead country, the freedom base, the place where daily life can become so inexpensive that the financial pressure almost disappears. But $500 a month does not mean living in the most comfortable neighborhoods of Asuncion. The capital is still cheap compared to the West, but it is not the best version of the $500 lifestyle. The better numbers appear outside the capital: Encarnacion, Villarrica, Cayaguazu. Smaller towns where a simple furnished rental can fall below $150 a month. Local food is extremely affordable, and basic daily transport costs almost nothing. The lifestyle is simple: warm weather, local markets, asado on weekends, terere culture, slower days, fewer distractions, less pressure to spend money, just to exist. Paraguay also has one of the more accessible residency paths in South America. The process is bureaucratic, but the financial requirements are generally modest compared to most countries. For someone thinking beyond cheap living and toward a second residency or long-term Plan B, that matters. This is the point in the list where the real question changes. It is not just, where is cheapest? It is, where could you actually build a low-cost life that also gives you more options? That is Paraguay's appeal. The caveats are real. Summer heat can be brutal. English is limited. Rural infrastructure can be basic. Healthcare outside major cities is not ideal. And most people will need local help for paperwork, banking, rentals, and residency. But for someone who wants warm weather, extremely low costs, and a country that is still overlooked by most of the expat world, Paraguay is one of the strongest sleeper options on this list. The next country keeps the low-cost lifestyle, but adds something Paraguay does not have: an established retiree infrastructure. Ecuador. Ecuador has been on the retire abroad radar for years, and there is a reason it has not disappeared. It offers low costs, mild highland weather, affordable health care, established expat communities, and one major advantage for Americans in particular: Ecuador uses the US dollar. No exchange rate math, no currency conversion stress, no watching your retirement income suddenly lose value because the local currency moved against you. But the key is choosing the right part of Ecuador. The coast can be beautiful, but it is not where the safest or best value lifestyle always sits. Some coastal areas have real security concerns. The highlands are where the value is much stronger. Cuenca is the famous one. Colonial streets, spring-like weather, walkability, fresh markets, cafes, public transport, and a long-established expat scene. But Cuenca has become more expensive in the most popular neighborhoods, so in 2026, the smarter move may be slightly beyond it. Loja, Vilcabamba, Gualaceo, Azogues, smaller Andean towns where rents are lower, the climate is still mild, and daily life remains extremely affordable. A basic furnished apartment outside prime zones can still sit around $150 to $200. Local lunches can cost a few dollars. Market food is cheap. Utilities are low because you often do not need heating or air conditioning. Public transport costs almost nothing by Western standards. Healthcare is one of Ecuador's biggest strengths. Private care in major cities can be affordable, and foreign residents may be able to access public healthcare options depending on status. The residency angle is also strong. Ecuador offers several visa categories, including retirement and investor routes, with relatively approachable requirements compared to many countries. The caveats are bureaucracy and adjustment. Paperwork can be slow. A local attorney or facilitator is often worth it. Altitude can affect some people at first. And while the highlands are generally safer than many outsiders expect, larger cities still require normal caution. For retirees or semi-retirees, Ecuador may be the most complete package on this list. Low costs, dollar economy, mild climate, healthcare, walkability, and an expat support network that already exists. If you are comparing test trips across several of these countries, Kiwi and Expedia links are below for checking flight routes, hotels, and flexible stays before committing to a longer move. And the final country may be the easiest to test because it asked for almost nothing up front. Cambodia. Cambodia is the practical wildcard. It is not the most polished country on this list. It is not the cleanest or the easiest in every way. But it may be the simplest place to land, spend very little money, and find out whether ultra-low-cost living abroad actually works for you. The US dollar is widely used. Rent can be paid in dollars. Food can be paid for in dollars. Visas can often be handled locally through agents who deal with this every day. That removes a lot of friction for first-timers. The capital, Phnom Penh, is busier and more expensive, so it is not the strongest $500 option. The better test cities are Kampot and Battambang. Kampot is a relaxed riverside town with a small international community, cheap food, and a slower pace. Battambang is a smaller city with colonial architecture, an art scene, and some of the lowest daily costs in Southeast Asia. A simple room or apartment can start around $80 to $150. Local meals can cost $1 or $2. Fruit smoothies, street food, local transport, and phone data are all extremely cheap. If your lifestyle is simple, Cambodia can come in below $500 more easily than almost anywhere else on this list. For connectivity, during the first few days abroad, Saili eSIM is useful for landing with mobile data already active instead of relying on airport SIM cards or expensive roaming. Link below. The biggest advantage of Cambodia is flexibility. You do not need to plan your entire future before arriving. You can test it for a month, spend very little, and decide whether the lifestyle fits. The caveats matter. Petty theft exists, especially in tourist zones. Traffic can be chaotic. Healthcare outside Phnom Penh is limited, and serious medical issues may require travel to Thailand. Infrastructure can be rough. Power outages happen. Internet speeds vary. But for someone who wants the lowest barrier to entry, Cambodia is probably the easiest first step on this entire list. For deeper country reports, visa guides, and cost of living breakdowns, Horizon Insider is linked below. So here is the real takeaway. $500 a month is not a magic number. It does not buy comfort everywhere. It does not buy luxury. And it definitely does not buy the same lifestyle you had back home at a discount. But in the right country, in the right town, with the right expectations, it can still buy something powerful. Breathing room. Georgia gives you a long, easy trial run near Europe. Albania gives you the Mediterranean at a price most people still do not believe. Paraguay gives you a quiet plan B in South America. Ecuador gives you the retiree-friendly highland lifestyle. Cambodia gives you the easiest low-cost landing. The cheapest country is not always the best one. The best one is where the numbers work, the lifestyle fits, and the next chapter actually feels possible. So, which one feels most realistic to you? Georgia, Albania, Paraguay, Ecuador, or Cambodia? Drop it in the comments.